Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado, and this is your winter 2025 to 2026 seasonal weather summary. So meteorological winter runs from December 1st to February 28th or 29th if it happens to be a leap year, although this year was not a leap year, and meteorological spring picks up on March 1st. So this is just going to kind of be a summary of the season, a recap of our stories of the month, some statistical data about temperatures and precipitation, and then a bit of an outlook into the spring season. So moving right in, we have our December story of the month, which was record-setting December temperatures. I feel like this season as a whole saw record-setting temperatures, or at least anomalously warm temperatures, but for the month of December, this was particularly impressive. The month of December was significantly warmer than normal, with temperatures running 10 to 15 degrees above normal throughout the month. However, the week of Christmas, temperatures really jumped, running close to 20 degrees above normal across the area. Highs across the desert valleys were in the low to mid 60s, while higher elevation valleys saw highs in the 50s. At the Grand Junction Regional Airport, 5 records total were set during this period. 3 were tied or broken record high temperatures, and 2 were broken record high low temperatures. A winter storm at the end of this period finally brought temperatures down a few degrees. The temperatures did remain in the 10 to 15 degree above normal range through the end of the month. And the image here just kind of indicating sort of the peak of that warm weather period, where you can see like Grand Junction was 62, Moab was 66, where our normals really should have been in the desert valleys in the upper 30s to low 40s, with Steamboat Springs and Ouray and Vernal all seeing temperatures in the low to mid 50s, when realistically they should be in the upper 20s to low 30s, sometimes even colder, especially in Vernal, where typically we see snowpack and cold pools develop, and they can see periods of below zero temperatures lingering for weeks. So definitely strange way to start off the season, and unfortunately it did not get better. But moving into our January story of the month, we had a foggy start to the new year. So after a storm that brought widespread snow to the valley floors, this would be the same storm that was mentioned at the end of December that brought a brief reprieve of the anomalously warm temperatures. The trapped moisture led to the development of dense fog along valley floors. This was especially noticeable along the I-70 corridor in the Grand Valley and across the Utah border into the Grand Flat. Visibility was less than a quarter of a mile at many locations and occasionally near zero, which led to a difficult morning commute for many people after the New Year's holiday. Luckily, the fog did in fact lift within a few hours of daybreak, and this slide here just kind of shows some of the visibility conditions we were seeing along the I-70 corridor that morning, both in eastern Utah and into western Colorado. Moving into the February story of the month, we had finally a strong winter storm. And by strong, I mean the type of winter storm you would typically expect to see in the Rockies during the winter, which unfortunately this year was a bit of an anomaly and very welcome. For the first time in what feels like ages, the western slope finally saw a strong winter storm. Most mountain ranges were due to see around a foot of snow, with close to 2 feet possible at the highest elevations. This was particularly along the northern Divide Mountains, the Park Range. Blowing snow was also concerned, with winds expected to gust 50 to 70 miles per hour. Snow squalls were also possible along the cold front, with whiteout conditions leading to difficult travel conditions. And this was even at some of the lower elevations, because this system also brought with it a pretty strong punch of cold air for once. And between the intensity of the precipitation and the cold air behind the front, we actually saw a changeover from rain to snow even across the Grand Valley and some of our warmer lower elevation locations. And thus the most of our traveled corridors, so I-70 and highways 40 and 50, were directly impacted by this cold front transitioning. And for a few days in the middle of February, it did actually finally feel like winter. It did not last, though, unfortunately, as we did in fact end up warming up to 10 to 15 degrees above normal, with occasional periods of 20 degrees above normal, which has just characterized the winter season as a whole. So moving into some of the statistics here, our warmest high temperature was 69 degrees, nice, at Canyonlands on the 25th of February, and our lowest warmest high was 59 degrees in Aspen on the 22nd of December. And you can tell, looking at the dates of these events, you can really see how that late December heat and the late February heat were kind of the two peaks of an already anomalously warm season. Looking at our cold temperatures, our lowest low was -17 in Craig on January 26th, and our warmest lowest low was 14 degrees at Canyonlands Airport. Did I say Canyonlands? I meant to say at Craig on the 26th of January, and Canyonlands had the warmest lowest low at 14 degrees on the 26th. And almost all of these occurred on January 26th, with the few exception of Cortez and Durango, which saw their lowest temperatures of the season on February 21st, which was also a particularly potent cold air period. And it was actually very close to when we saw some of those high temperatures as well, which occurred maybe 5 or 6 days later. Moving into precipitation, overall below normal. But at least most of our departures, well, not most, but a good chunk of them were less than an inch below normal for the season. But even then, that's still not great. Our big winner was Craig, who got just under 2.4 inches of precipitation throughout the season, which was a little under a third of an inch below normal. And at the bottom, we have poor Vernal, who managed to get just over 7/10 of an inch of precipitation in the season, which was just under an inch below normal. At least Vernal did better than having a trace. I will never forget last year how there was one season where Vernal just had a trace each month for their total precipitation. It was very, very depressing. So anytime Vernal actually makes it out with precipitation, I will count that as a win. But overall, some of our, as far as departures are concerned, Aspen really saw quite the deficit at almost 1.5 inches below normal. Meeker with just over an inch, Cortez with just over an inch, Durango with exactly an inch. Definitely not the best. Aspen, seeing our greatest deficit, actually comes right in line with the drought update that I'm about to show you, where our central mountains and the high central mountain valleys, including where Aspen is, are actually in exceptional drought, which is the worst category of drought that you can get. So first, yes, I don't have a seasonal drought from the drought monitor, but you can go and take a look at the monthly updates that will indicate those, as well as some of the written summaries that contain the monthly updates from the drought monitor. Looking at our drought tendency as we move into the spring, where there is already drought, which is this kind of tannish dark brown color, drought is going to persist. And or it may get worse. There's really no tendency of where there's already drought, it's going to get worse. It's just drought's going to continue in this area. And then where we don't currently have drought, in the sense of we have abnormally dry conditions in this yellowish area, the drought monitor and the climate prediction center are expecting drought to redevelop across these areas. And I mean, that tracks with the above normal temperatures, below normal precipitation that we have continued to see throughout the season. Looking at the Climate Prediction Center's forecast for the spring season, CPC is favoring above normal temperatures across eastern Utah and western Colorado, with the Four Corners seeing the highest percentage chance with a 50 to 60% tendency towards above normal temperatures, lowering to 40 to 50% for the vast majority of the area, and then the far northeastern corner of the Grand Junction CWA and into Boulder's area are favored with a 33 to 40% tendency towards above normal temperatures. So the signal is definitely there to continue seeing this above normal temperature trend, and CPC is also favoring us to see below normal precipitation, with again the highest percentage tendency being around the Four Corners, and this is again 50 to 60% tendency towards below normal precipitation, becoming 40 to 50% in this slightly lighter color for the vast majority of the area, and then a 33 to 40% tendency for northeast Utah, northwest Colorado. And both of these are kind of still in line with a La Nina type pattern, although there is some indication that we may be transitioning out of La Nina and either into ENSO neutral or into an El Nino pattern. But overall, these teleconnections don't have as great of an impact during the warm season. So, and the other thing too is that there's always that great big unknown of what is the monsoon going to do. So This is what the seasonal outlook is saying for meteorological spring. So for March, April, May, what ends up happening, we will have to wait and see. And that's it for the seasonal summary. I hope you enjoyed it, and go check out the monthly summaries if you're interested. And there's also a written summary that's similar to this, but also kind of includes some different presentations of the data and some different information. And if you're interested in that, it is linked below. And I hope you have a good one, everybody. Bye.